What's good, Cowboys Nation? Welcome into the Sky into I Show, our very first NFL Week 1 Cowboys recap. Unfortunately, it's after a loss, but don't fret. There are some good things to take away from this. Also, some things that the Cowboys need to improve on. And me and my twin,
Little winner, twin.
Aisha Morrison, are going to break it all down from the rooter to the tutor. Ain't that how your country folks say it? From the rooter to the tutor.
I've actually I actually don't have that in my vocabulary, but,
Oh, see, that's a Voch thing. I got hit up Voch. He got all the
yeah,
country
he's
slang.
he's 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 deep down south,
Yeah,
we up a little north in Dallas, so
I'm all the way northeast. So far northeast, I'm in the Lions Den of these damn Philadelphia Eagles fans. And yeah, you walk around, they all braggadocious right now after the dub. But I say, laugh now.
laugh
'Cause
now.
I don't know if you'll be laughing a little bit later.
Talk
To
about it.
why. So let's kind of get into this game, break it all down. And I want to start off at the top here with Brian Schottenheimer. And first of all, the presser he had, he's always impressive in the pressers, but I don't know, man. Even after a loss, I'm just like, I believe in this guy. I know the
Amen.
Cowboys should have won this game,
Mhm.
no doubt about it. And you have the right to be upset about that for sure. But it's just something about the way he approached that presser coming out that made me say, there's no panic here. There's a confidence, dare I
Mhm.
say, a slight arrogance, but you need to have that, right, in this league that makes me feel like Schotty is going to get these guys to be able to bounce back because he got them coming out, I think, ready to play. And I haven't
Oh,
said that a lot.
no, absolutely. I mean, first of all, like, in fairness, I mean, I know that, the offense wasn't able to effectively move the ball in the second half, the way that they wanted to, but I don't know if it was on the play calling. I
Mm,
think a lot of it was execution. And so, execution and mental lapses and things like that. But when you talk about them being ready to play, dog, I mean, that first drive,
yeah.
the first couple drives were just so efficient, just so clean. The plan was there. You could tell that they had a plan. And to your point about hearing him speak, to this point, he hasn't really BS'd us like that.
Right.
If he say he's gonna do something, he's done it. When he talks about competition, if he don't think you're ready to be on the field, you're not out there right now. And I know like people had a lot of questions, but I feel like he's given us I feel like from the first game, I'm like, okay, what the things he was saying he wanted to do offensively specifically are things that he really came out and did.
Yeah. And there was a stat that they show, which we should know this as Cowboy fans, but Cowboys had one opening drive touchdown in 2024. They matched that immediately.
Yeah.
Immediately. And then they, like you said, it came out, responded with another one. But to further the point, four straight scoring drives to start the game. And let's be real, it would have been five in that third quarter had said fumble not happened. And I get that there was the rain delay and things like that that kind of turned that game upside down. To
Mhm.
what was kind of your thoughts on that? I called it three halves of football, where the Cowboys had the first half, then obviously they come out in the second half, and then really kind of a totally different game after that rain delay.
Yeah, I think the defenses benefited
Mhm.
from it. But offensively, really what I was looking for after the game was for the players to speak about it. And sometimes players get on my nerves because they just be playing real coy, like, it shouldn't have affected us. It didn't affect
Yeah,
us.
but y'all human.
And I'm just like, my guy, we see y'all.
Yeah.
We saw y'all be in the offensive rhythm and then not being able to get in one. So I actually went and creeped on the Philly folks because they clearly just say whatever they want to say over there. So I went to go creep on them and Jordan Mailata, their offensive line, like these guys were talking about how much that delay threw off their rhythm offensively. And so I think, like I said, I think the defenses got a little bit more time to scheme, got a little
Yeah.
bit more time, but offensively, rhythm matters. Matters, having a feel for the game, being within the game, being able to, so to me, I do think that it affected both offenses. That's why you only saw 3 points on the board in the first half after, like, back to back to back to back drives on both sides of the ball.
You make a great point here that had me thinking, right? Look at the coordinators who benefited from this delay. You're talking about two veteran defensive coordinators who've been in this league for a long time and have had success. as coordinators. You gave them another chance, an hour to go in there, watch some tape probably, and game plan and figure it out. And they both of them did. However, I will say this: I don't think it negatively affected Schotty as much.
Oh no.
I think there were opportunities there, but obviously we know with the drops with Lamb, fumbles, things like that happening, that affected them, as you said at the top of the show, more than said play calling. Now, could it have been a little bit more cleaner? Sure.
Of
But then you
course.
look at the Philly side, first time offensive coordinator, never gotten, never had a chance to call a game for a long time and never been in this situation. So I do think it affected him because they were definitely out of whack, not just from a personnel standpoint, but probably from a play call. I didn't study their plays per se, but watching the defense against them, Philly was even more bogged down than
Mhm.
they were to start the game. So that's a great point. I do think it benefited the defensive coordinators a lot more than probably on the other side of the ball.
Yeah, especially on the defensive line, and I know we're gonna move on, but it's especially on the defensive line. I mean, I think Dallas, I think Philly opted to kind of take advantage of some of those young guys on your interior, or some of those twists and stuff like that. And that's not even something that they do like that.
Yeah.
But I think they felt like they needed to do that because they weren't able to really generate a lot of pressure. There was some miscommunication, some miscues and stuff with exchanges between the interior of your offensive line and stuff like that. I just think to your point, like, I think it's being understated personally, how much an hour of sitting can do, like what that can do for offensive players who heavily rely on rhythm and timing and those things to get up, and then to have to get up. I mean, some of them was getting snacks. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Keep it a
Yeah.
thousand. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like it's a long time, and so for me, I think I want to make sure we. I'm glad that we talked about it because I feel like throughout the conversation of the offense not executing in the second half, that's being a little understated to me.
Yeah, let's talk about this Cowboys offense. Here's what we're going to do. For those who have been watching the channel, I wasn't able to get into my sky optics, which is I take the bird's eye view of what I saw and I explain my thoughts on it. Wasn't able to do it on the morning show, so we decided, hey man, let's do it here on the Sky and Two Eye show. So we'll take a look at my offensive notes. We'll go back and forth, me and Two Eye, on some
Hmm.
of these things here. So the very first thing that stuck out to me, Two Eye, immediately, right off the bat, very first play of the game.
I already know what you're gonna
Ooh,
say. I already
we
know
got
what you're gonna say.
we got some pre-snap motion, we got some
Oh!
post-snap action, we got some creativity in the run. I was giddy. I was just like a little kid in a candy store seeing them, put this first drive together. The first 15, I'm huge on. I
Mhm,
think the first 15, if you go around the league, the best offensive coordinators, they're easy to spot when you just go look at how they begin the game from a game plan standpoint.
mhm.
And for years, I've always thought the Cowboys were not that good in that aspect of the game. Not Schotty and Clayton Adams. They came out and they did everything that he said he wanted to do. Condensed splits, pre-snap motion, misdirection, trying to gain leverage. They used all those tools in a creative way, I think, to stress this defense. And I don't think it was just a bunch of window dressing, right? I thought this was real and it had real payoff. Shouts out to our friend of the show, Mina Kimes. Mina Kimes dropped the stat 42% at snap motion in week one. That would have ranked fourth in the NFL in 2024. The Cowboys were 29th last year in that. That's something that did not do a whole lot of. And it really helped. I mean, we could see it from broadcast, but when you go pop the tape on, you saw just the slightest missteps created a leverage advantage for the offense in the pass game and the run game too.
Yeah, and then also too a small uptick in play action, which your quarterback is fantastic at. And we've been talking about this for years, Sky, is that you know Dak is a quarterback that needs to get information with emotions, but more than we've also seen him not get
Right.
information and be able to navigate. So I don't think he heavily relies on that. To your point, I think it was to create leverage, it was to create spacing and opportunities there. And I do think you can tell that this to your point, like how many times has Dallas gone into a big game in the first few drives? We are saying to ourselves, man, they don't look prepared.
Yeah.
Man, they don't look prepared. And another thing too, Sky, and I think this sticks out as well is the lack of penalties. Don't get me wrong. Now, the ones that you did have were key in certain moments, but to come out to play that clean,
Yeah.
for the majority of the game, obviously, like you had those few miscues, but you look like the more disciplined team up against the champs. And I think that also that goes back to Shotty's energy in training camp, with them
Mm.
fighting, with them making mistakes, and him being hard on them about it. Like, you can't do this in a game. So if you do this in a game, it's going to hurt us. So for me, I think that stood out as well. But you mentioned the pre-snap play action. Also too, having more than having three receivers on the field. And being in those three bunch sets, Dallas was second in the NFL this through the week one with having three receivers on the field and being able to maneuver that way.
Interesting.
So yeah, so I think that that's something we're gonna see too, because we know that Clayton and those guys they're gonna want to go 12, but they saw that also tells me that they did see some favorable matchups on the back end, and they wanted to attack with the wide receivers as well.
To your point on both of those ends here, 4 penalties, I believe, total in the game, and not a whole lot of pre-snap issues, right? We thought maybe on the
Mm.
road with the motion, and could that have an
On the
effect?
road,
Yeah,
loud,
and it didn't. It didn't have any
yeah,
effect. And you know what? I said this. Shouts out to Lando. He had hit me up. Was like, hey, do you think on the road, first game, will there be issues with the motion aspect? And I said, not really. Not if it's a part of who you are. That really doesn't affect you, because that's a timing thing. That's something that you work on over and over and over. It's baked in your DNA. But if this was the offense back in the day, where it was the Texas Coast or Dak Prescott gets in line of scrimmage and try to do everything, that's when the crowd environment, the road environment, I think plays a bigger factor. Those boys came out and it was like, we know what we're doing. We know
yeah.
how to do it. You're going to have to adjust to it. And it worked. Philly really didn't have an answer.
Well, yeah, and then I mean, when you talk about them being on the road and everything too, that was actually I do understand Landon's sentiment, because
Mhm.
that was a concern of mine, and I think you saw that exemplified in the Chicago Bears last night. Is that Ben Johnson is accustomed to doing the motions and all these other things when he was with the Lions, and man, like they really struggled early in that game with some of that. They were penalized heavily for the false starts and things like that. So I do think it is possible. It's possible that's why I thought that was going to happen. But that no, to your point, Dallas was sound. That offensive line seems calm, and
Yeah.
even talking to the girls earlier today on Girls Talk, and them having the opportunity to talk to the guys in the locker room, the offensive line, they love this scheme. They are encouraged by this scheme, and they believe that and I do believe that they feel like they're being used the way that they felt like they've all wanted to be, from a skill standpoint.
We got coaching, ladies and gentlemen. We
Man,
got
listen,
we got coaching in
that
that
clipboard
aspect.
gonna save you sometimes. Like sometimes some games, we've talked about this guy. Like some games do come down to the
Oh
clipboard.
yeah. Oh yeah. And to your other point, you talked about, I didn't even notice that stat with the three tight end, or I'm sorry, the three wide receivers. You know why? Because they looked multiple in this game.
Hmm.
They did come out in 12 personnel. They did come out in different sets. And we kind of talked about this behind the scenes yesterday. They still didn't bring everything out the bag. Right.
Oh,
Hunter
there's
Lipke, there wasn't a lot of Hunter Lipke things. There was still some Kamate Turpin things we haven't seen. There's still a lot that there. And when I went back and watched, go check out my drive of the game if you missed it. There's some things in there where they're setting up future opponents.
talk about it.
Yeah, they're setting up
Talk
future
about it.
opponents. And I thought they were trying to set up Philly, and to an extent they were. You saw some of, again, pre-snap motion, at-snap stuff, play action things. There's going to be a lot
Yeah.
that Clayton Adams and Brian Schottenheimer can bake in here. And I think it's because you have versatility with the personnel, not just from your skill players, but your offensive line, man. And I'm going to get to that a little bit later, but the offensive line, there's a lot to like moving forward with that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and to your point about them setting things up, I'm gonna say this, and you tweeted about it. That's why everybody gotta run their routes.
Hey, hold on.
That's why everybody gotta sell that.
Hold up.
That's why everybody gotta do what they need to do.
I got to. You know what? That was a Maya Moore moment. You
Huh.
just you just hit me with an alley.
Maya was that girl.
Yeah,
Maya was
you
that
just hit me with a hee.
girl.
Like,
But nah,
you
like that's why you gotta bruh. That's
so
why
I say that because usually I'm hitting you with the hee. But she set
I
this
love
up
it.
beautifully, ladies and gentlemen, for this segue into George Pickens and Jalen Tolbert. Have you fallen and gotten injured at work? You should probably call a lawyer.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan.
Morgan and 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 Morgan.
Did you know that your injury could be worth millions of dollars? Morgan & Morgan is the largest injury law firm in America, and they've recovered over $25 billion for their clients.
$25 billion? That's a hell of a lot of money.
If the insurance companies tried to lowball you, Morgan & Morgan is able to take the pain and suffering and turn it into cold, hard cash. But wait. How much is Morgan & Morgan gonna cost you? You never owe them legal fees unless they're successful.
That's right. You don't owe unless you win.
And if you don't know how to hire a lawyer and it sounds too hard, it's actually super easy. You can just go to their website, and then in a couple clicks, you can find out if you have a case. You can literally do it from your smartphone. And remember, there's only one Morgan & Morgan.
Wait, there's more than one because... Let me see the script. Oh, last name. Oh, okay, roll it.
You can start your claim today by going to forthepeople.com/Skywalker. The link in the description. I wrote this on Twitter. I went to watch some Tolbert to kind of chuckle at just how uninterested he seemed to be. You mentioned this. I don't know if you mentioned it publicly or not, but it's evident now. The confidence is shot. It is pow. It's shot. And, it's definitely, I think, time to see Flournoy. And maybe I'm overreacting. We do a lot of read and overreact, but I don't think I am. And I will definitely take the brunt of this, Cowboys Nation. You can come at me if you want. I definitely believed he should be in the room, but I do think that Flournoy and Mingo and those guys outplayed him in the camp. Like, if you go look at the list, Tolbert would have been at the bottom. So if that's the case, I think we should start to see a little bit more of Flournoy moving forward. I don't like to wait around. I know it's only 1 week, but it was some moments there. It was just like, dude, you're a little bit lost in the sauce. And I say that 1 second. I say that because I went to go look at Tolbert, and I came away disappointed at George Pickens. That effort, whether it be from route running, whether it be from blocking, and I know there's a highlight clip of the CD Lamb catch and block that he had, but that's one out of how many plays that had me say, oh, that's what Pittsburgh was talking about. And I thought he'd come here and things would be different because we heard that, and it wasn't too high. And we can't have two wishy-washy guys out there because CD Lamb's not going to be a Jawan Jennings blocker. Like, CD Lamb's going to be your wide receiver one. So, not going to lie, a little concerning when you went back and watched the tape from them too.
I mean, so here's the thing. I'm on the fence.
On the fence?
Right? I'm on the fence from a standpoint of that part of me does understand CeeDee Lamb had 13 targets.
As he should.
As he should. As he should.
As he should.
To George Pickens 4.
A little bit more. He need a little bit more than that.
And I understand why there would be frustration, especially looking at that secondary and looking at, like, if they went into this matchup feeling like they could attack that secondary, why that would be irritating to him. I am not excusing his behavior at all. I will say that I think that it is possible, more than possible, to integrate him more into the offense. It is week 1, and this is something I said on Girls Talk today. Schotty has said it. This is a progression offense. It's what it is. It's a progression offense. And also, too, your quarterback is typically a progression quarterback. That's just kind of how he's played the game for the majority of the time.
Like,
And
can I
Go
interrupt
ahead.
on that? I think majority of NFL offenses are progression offenses. Like, it's
And
not
I
college football. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to
and
go
I
out every single play and say, okay, he's on this guy. We're just going to attack it every single play. Like, there is an element of, okay, this is our offense. This is our syllabus per se. This is how we're going to do things to set things up. So I get that it's a progressive offense, but we can't just go out there every play and just say, okay, George Pickens is on Keon Mitchell or George Pickens is on whoever, and just completely shut down the play and change it and throw it to him all the time. Yeah, am I doing too much?
No, you're not. No, you're not tripping. You're not tripping. And this is like, it's very difficult because if I'm not mistaken, like if I think I'm not mistaken, CD Lamb had let's see, I have it here. Yeah, highest first read target rate, 46% from CD Lamb, which was
And he was
it
cooking.
and that's the hard part is like he's cooking and I talked to both Brandon Cooks and Jalen Tolbert about this um last season or the season before that when I was in the locker room and just talked to them about what it's like being in the offense when someone like CD Lamb and CD Lamb being your first read most of the time. Dak is not just gonna go to three, like to his third read, just because, just to make somebody feel good. You know what I'm saying? But I do think that Schotty can be intentional about making sure that Pickens is getting the ball. Now,
Sure.
another thing though is, did the quarterback see you half-assing routes?
Let's go
Because if
back
the
to that
quarterback
because
seen it,
I don't
go
want to
sorry.
get too far away from because you did preface it with I'm not giving him an excuse, but it does that is no excuse to me. Like your effort was piss poor and you weren't a man of your words. Let's
Mm-hmm.
go back to the offseason when CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens got here. What did he say? Hey man, there's
It's
going to
1A,
be
1B.
no, he said there's going to be games where CD, I'm going off and Lamb or he's going off and I'm fine with that. I'm great with that. So you can't then use an excuse of frustration. Not out the gate. We're not even at week 4 or 5 yet, Tua. This is the
No,
first game of the season. And if old boy is cooking out there, 7 receptions for 109 yards or whatever it was before all those drops
110.
started to happen,
Mhm.
that is you have to live with that. You have to execute your side of the ball. And the problem is you did see the frustration seep in, grabbing of the foot,
Mm.
swinging down Cooper DeJean. That cost you 15 yards, and that set a terrible domino effect. That can't happen.
No, it can't. It can't. We need maturity from him. We need him around. Because to your point, some of the stuff that you see where Dak is going to CD because it's there. If it's not there, there's some there's some opportunity there for George Pickens.
Mm.
But he has to, like you said, he has to clear guys out. He has
Yeah.
to run his routes. He has even on that third play, like that he has to do his job. And so I was disappointed in his guy. And I know you go ahead, input. I know you
No,
want to talk about
Shotty
that
talked
play.
about the clearing out years ago, right? He doesn't even like to call it clear out routes because let's be real, wide
It bothers
receivers,
him. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
the wide receivers getting their feelings about it, but that's just part of the game, and
Mm.
and maybe that frustrates him because he went from being the man to there's going to be times you got to clear this thing out for the actual man in the offense. So yeah, got to do a good job, man.
Yeah, they gotta find the balance. And it's up to, again, it's up to that locker room. It's up to those guys to kind of, bring him in, reel him in. And also too, it is like this is a different response. Say what you want to say. This is a different responsibility for Dak Prescott. This is a different to me. I feel like you have had CD Lamb and he's had Dez and he's had different guys, but it's been like onesies, not twosies, where
He
he
only
has.
had the twosies like one time, right? With
Yeah, and
Amari
even with
Cooper
that,
and
Amari
CeeDee Lamb.
Cooper was real chill for the most part. Like he was never Amari Cooper's never been the
Complainer to him, to
complainer,
Dak at least. Yeah.
diva-esque, wide receiver. But these are two big personalities that Dak is gonna have to manage on that side, that side of things. And I do think it is a new thing.
Yeah.
So I hope that they're able to figure it out. Obviously he needs to be involved in the offense. But yeah, it was kind of rusty and dusty, dog. Like I was sitting up here like, you just
Yeah.
not going, you just
I was taken back to it. I was like, okay,
making my way downtown, walking fast. That's what he was doing in some of them plays. I
some
said,
of the plays he was ole, 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 ole. And it was just like, oh, maybe, I'm a week 1. Maybe, he
maybe
just
his
wasn't
stomach was
always
hurting. I
there.
don't know. Maybe his stomach was hurting. I'm trying. You
Me
gotta
too.
do
Trust
better.
me. I'm trying to be like, not a big deal, y'all. We talking about, I ain't gonna lie. There's just a little bit of bias here. Okay. Because I'm really excited about the talent he is and I want it to work so bad. But then reality sets in where it's like, hey man, talent ain't the end all be all.
He looked like no. And
Yeah.
He's so funny, and I know we got to move on, but
Yeah.
it's so funny because when he was in the locker room, he was like, "Yeah, I'm fine.
And
I'm
that's
fine."
yeah, he's it's so different, right? When he's talking to his media training, whatever, it's like, man, he handled that well. He
Man,
handled
he's
that
got some man.
amazing.
His PR, his management and stuff. They
Yeah.
got him straight because he was like, "Oh no, it's no big deal." And then you turn on the tape, and you like,
I
"Hey,
almost slipped
wait
up.
a minute, wait a minute."
That mother grabbing ankles. He done slingshot at Cooper DeJean or
Wait.
DeJean Cooper.
Dejan is killing me. But
Sometimes
speaking
he's
of Cooper
DeJean.
Dejan,
Sometimes he's
let me tell
DeJean.
you something. Let me tell you something. That little white man is feisty. I
Yeah,
seen
he's a good
you.
player.
No. I was very impressed
Get
by
some
his
dog
college
in
tape.
him.
The,
Get
the
some dog
dog,
in him.
the dude can play. However, I also seen him on tape doing some shiesty stuff. He got that. They got to get him a shiesty.
He got some dog. They sleep on his dog. But to your point though earlier, right? There was some, okay, yeah, you got Cooper DeJean. Sometimes he play like DeJean. And then you got Keon Mitchell, but everybody else was barbecue chicken. Right? I mean, Dory Jackson was good. Now look, when I talk about going away from progression stuff, well, they got down there in that red zone after that big play to CD Lamb, and they said 1-on-1 of Dory Jackson, first play, bow. They went to the fade and got a pass interference. So there is times like that where that's there.
Yes.
And to the positive side of George Pickens, I don't want to harp on him, being back, because he did have moments in that game to where big 15-yard catch towards the end of the game to set the Cowboys up to potentially get into scoring position. Defensive pass interference, where he probably I wonder if we're having a little bit of different conversation about his receiving aspect if he actually catches that deep ball. If old boy doesn't have defensive pass interference, right? He's catching that to me. So maybe he
Oh,
has
no,
70
yeah.
yards.
Yeah.
There was another one, excuse me, where I believe it should have been a flag thrown in the end zone. It was a little overthrown, but it still was defensive pass interference to me by Keon Mitchell in the end zone, sets us up at the 1. So I think there was some positive impacts you saw from George Pickens in this game. And if you listen to some of the things that I'm talking about from a negative aspect, it's not when he was targeted. It's when he wasn't,
targeted.
and it's when it was time to run the ball. And for me, I said this to you yesterday. Oh, we can swap out Tolbert, no problem, right? Let's get Floyd in there, whatever. Let's go. There's no swapping out George Pickens. So you need him to take that, step it up.
Yeah, and it was disappointing also too because I saw him at Camp Blackwell.
Yeah.
Seen it.
Yeah.
I seen it
Seen it.
with my
Hey,
own 2 eyes.
Dak Prescott.
What?
I mean, if you just drop down from planet Mars and you was like, hey, what's a stat line? Can you read me a stat line? And you see, 188 yards, 90 quarterback QBR. You'd be like, oh, well, no touchdowns, no picks, no fumbles, no rushing. You'd be like, oh, well, he didn't have a great game. But when you put that tape on, I mean, the dude looked so good. I called him Dak Prescott in that game. You saw the mobility, moving around, the pocket. He just had great pocket awareness, the accuracy, the big time throws. Him and Schotty, again, we got to get some more data, but doesn't it seem like him and Schotty on that same page from an aggressive standpoint? There's no more kind of, why is Dak so conservative? Well, maybe the game plan is to be that way. Schotty came out aggressive, and Dak said, I'm going to match that energy. Matter of fact, when Jalen Carter did what he did, Dak said, oh, yeah? Bet. Third play of the game. Bow! Straight to CD Lamb for a big play. And we're setting up at the 1 or 3 yard line, whatever it was. So I thought Dak just looked really good. He moved around well. Would like to see maybe pull the ball a little bit sometime. I want to see him run. I ain't gonna lie, I do. I ain't gonna lie. Oh, you know what? I'll take that back. I don't want to see him run because what happened last year. However,
I do.
I thought he looked good altogether.
I do want to see him run. He's prepared his body for it.
That's why I said that. He looked like he ready.
He prepared his body for it. I told you, I sat up here in training camp when I first got there, when our first shows, I said, let me tell you something. The quarterback looks like the quarterback. Like he looks comfortable. Like his feet look good. He's leaned out even more than what he initially did. I talked to you about the running that he was doing. Coaching matters.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be mean. Coaching matters, man.
Yeah, he
And
helped set him up.
I 100% believe that he and Shotty have a connection. They have an understanding. And you gotta imagine though, the amount of work that Dak has had to do, um, and kind of elevating this offense, man, I'm sure he's happy to get some help. I'm sure
Yeah.
he's happy to get a coach that schemes guys open consistently. I'm sure he's happy. Like I said before, I know he doesn't need the extra motions to identify everything all the time, but I'm sure he's glad that they're there. I'm
Yeah.
sure he's glad they're there. And again, and I also think to your point, Scout, going back to his play, I think it's a testament of the offensive line. He had some clean pockets.
Yes.
He had some clean
And, and
pockets.
and when he didn't, we're going to see 0 sacks, but credit Dak for that because he obviously got hit like 2 or 3 times, but
Yeah.
he shrugged it off. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And I know, and I wanted to also say that I do also think that this is in like him being calm and the way that he was navigating things is indicative of like the planning that's taking place and how they want to that how they've talked about wanting to run offense. So for me, I expected for him to look like this. First of all, he ain't scared of Philly. I don't know if y'all
uh-uh.
know this by now, but he don't. My quarterback sees you, and he does not care. He does not care about Philly. He plays them like this all the time. It doesn't matter what roster they got. He
Doesn't
don't
matter.
care.
That's why I always say it's 4 playing.
Yeah,
If 4 is playing, they're either going to beat Philly or they're going to be in this damn game. That's just
exactly.
what happens.
So for me, I mean, I like we talked about before. I think the play caller, to your point, I think the play caller understands the quarterback. Um, and I just think this is this is what year is he in now? What 11?
10. This is this
Year
decade
10.
season. Yeah.
It's just year 10. And
See,
the, and
hold on.
in fairness, I expect to see is it? It's
No, this
9.
year 10. I'm just trying to think who I had this conversation with where I said, I hate that it took year 10 to get one of these type of offenses for him.
You said that to
It
me.
was you? Okay, I couldn't remember. I'm like, can you imagine if we got this 5, 6, 7 years ago, as
I will
opposed to 10
I will
years having to
cry.
deal with Mike McCarthy and Kellen Moore, and then the Mike McCarthy Kellen Moore combination and Jason Garrett. It's just like, damn, whatever. We're
No,
here
no,
now. We're here
it
now.
does kind of suck. But to your point about the quarterback, his mechanics look clean. He looked comfortable. I think it's awesome that they're gonna be able to build upon this, bro.
He was just in total command, I think, of the offense and total command of the game. There's a play, we'll talk about motion, right? Cowboys in 2023, after I think Schotty got a little bit more influence, they started doing some of that exit stuff, right?
Mm,
Exit motion is very common now across the league, but the Cowboys use an exit motion that got Tolbert to be the one guy on the outside and to put CD on the inside at the snap, by the way. So what happened was you had a leverage disadvantage for Dory Jackson. He was squared up, but because of the push exit motion, he kind of took a step out, and that created that leverage on the inside. On the other side of the ball, at the snap, on a 3rd and 3, I believe it was, you saw Fangio tendencies, right? What happens with the Cowboys on 3rd and short? They like to go to Ferg. So Ferg, it looked like possibly had an option route to go in or out. So they send Zach Bond to kind of bracket Ferg on the inside route. So
mhm.
Ferg hits outside, and it's not really there for Dak. So what Dak does, he drops back. His first look is towards Ferg's side to get the first down. Zach Bond, all right, he shoots over there.
He shoots over there, yeah.
Dak sees it. He holds him for a second. Then he flips his hips, his shoulders, and his eyes to the opposite side to get Zach Bond to move, knowing I got CeeDee Lamb coming across on this deep over. So when he moves Zach Bond, CeeDee Lamb goes right behind Zach Bond. Dak comes right back to the left side, fires it. CeeDee Lamb gets a 26-yard gain. Just in total command of the offense.
So totally underrated part about his game to me is his eyes and the usage of his eyes and how he's able to manipulate
Yeah.
there. So that's awesome that you brought that up. No, yeah. Also too, like we talked about the lack of penalties that start with the offensive line and the communication with the quarterback. Like I'm talking about pre-snap. They're on the road. That's a hostile environment. The way that they were able to navigate that, I think, speaks to his preparation and Shotty's preparation. There's a lot of good to like about what the offense did.
I am in
Mm,
love with this run scheme. I had a feeling I would be. Getting Clayton Adams, his history is there. Getting Connor Riley, he's been a good O line coach and OC in college. And then Brian Schottenheimer understands and respects the run game and knowing that it has to be efficient and it has to complement the pass game. I loved how they used the tight ends on the move. I thought the cohesion per se looks so much better. I know there's things to clean up
mhm.
for sure, but I'm just remembering some of the pulls they tried to do and the traps they tried to do under Solari and Philbin, and it just was so sloppy. The spacing was bad. It just didn't look good. These guys were firing out. These guys were on the same page. There was a play, I think, early in that game where, I mean, very heady play by Tyler Booker and Terrence Steele, where the post snap action got Zach Bone to jump out his gap where it looked like Booker was supposed to come up and get him off the combo block, but they essentially gap exchange and they exchanged and they passed it off so beautifully in the run game,
Yeah,
by
yeah,
the
yeah.
way. And it's like, man,
I
we
saw that at training camp. I saw
finally
that
have
at
a
training
scheme.
camp. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
No, no,
that
you're
that
right.
got me really excited. I thought the offensive line was very solid all around. Yes, there was some pressures and things like that. I didn't expect this offensive line to be great right away. And I also thought it would take long. I'll tell you where I was wrong here. I thought it was going to take at least a month or so for this run game to kind of be in sync because we got a new scheme, we got new running backs, new play caller, and those things take some time. It took some time in Arizona. If you remember, Clayton Adams came out and said, yeah, after a few weeks, we were like, okay, this doesn't work. So we got to figure this out. They came out right out the gate and they were in sync. And I think all they're missing now is a legitimate home run threat to go with Javonte Williams. By the way, shouts out to Javonte Williams.
Pray Saints. Pray for the home run hitter. We heard uh Jerry mentioning
Yeah, should be
Blue today.
blue, but we
So
don't.
we'll
We
see.
don't know.
We'll
We'll
see
see.
what happens there. But no, what I want to say about the offensive line and them being that cohesive to start is that, and this is just me assuming. I don't know. Every day at practice when I was there, I would go watch the offensive line first. They do the same things over and over and over again. And I think that that is why you may see the cohesion because they're not trying to be masters of a million things. They are trying to master the things they do well and do them really freaking well. And that's what Philly does as an offensive line is like what they do well, the traps, the pulls, and the double teams, they master that. And I believe that that's what this offensive line is doing. And I think the repetition in practice, where it's like, we're not doing all this fancy extra stuff. We're gonna run double teams.
We're going to lean into the strengths
We're
of what you
gonna
guys do.
yes, and that's the second part is that that's what I think is awesome is that what they're doing is allowing this interior to be powerful and they're allowing those tackles who are not as powerful to be the athletes that they are.
On that
And
move,
I
baby.
think that is the smartest way to attack this, where a guy like Terrence Steele looks better in this scheme because he is able to do some of the things he does well. Tyler Guyton, not known for his run blocking, however, doing some of the things that allow him to be that athlete, those quicker feet that both of the tackles have, them being able to use that to their advantage and get some drive. Yeah, I think I'm very much looking forward to
Encouraged.
the offensive line, and we'll see what happens with the running back position.
I'll go back to what I've been saying all off season. This running game was going to always be improved to me because of by default. Because you have a Clayton Adams, you have Connor Riley, Brian Schottenheimer, and you addressed it with a first round pick, offensive guard. How much better will be dependent on the running backs, and I thought you saw that in this game. Javonte Williams was very productive downhill, get you the first down. I think he realized his limitations now post all the knee injuries, but I think for what you want him to do, he does it well. Get the first, be physical. He has good vision between the tackles. What you need now is a compliment, or you need a better lead. That's not a knock on Javonte. He's just limited. I don't think Sanders is the compliment at all. I think you saw the vision issues. He was supposed to be your guy that can run away from guys, and he couldn't run away from Zach Bond. Great play. Yeah, I'm gonna be nitpicky. He's supposed to score there. He didn't.
He
The
is.
fumble, he had fumble issues in Philly. That again, read and overreact. Blue, or if it ain't blue, you don't trust him, then you need to figure something out to complement Javonte Williams, or you need to go get you a legitimate all-around lead guy. That is going to depend. That situation will dictate how good your run game will be to me, too.
Yeah, don't waste this.
I agree.
Like you said, Sky. That's when I walked away from this game. I mean, I've been feeling like this for a while. There's video evidence. But when I walked away from this game, I was ecstatic about this offensive line, bro. And
Yep.
to me, I'm like, yeah, you can put a okay running back behind this offensive line as they continue to grow and they're going to be able to be efficient. You put a big dog back there, that's going to me make things easier for you. It's
Yeah.
going to make things easier for you, but also too you need explosives in the run game. You need them. And so, I mean, we can be efficient all you want to, but most defenses are going to want you to matriculate down the field. That's fine being able to do that, but you need to be able to hit people in the mouth with the run game. So for me, whoever you need to, and I'm not talking about the physical part, I'm talking about like,
The big
breakaway
play.
plays.
Yeah, you don't
Yeah, the
want to have
big
to
play.
go 12, 13 plays all the time, right?
No, and you don't need that. So you don't need to have to do that all the time. So for me, I hope that Dallas sees what they have in this young offensive line and that they continue to build upon it. But yeah, definitely one of the bright spots of the game. And Cowboys fans should be excited about this offensive line possibly getting back to being the unit that we've been waiting for it to be for quite some time now.
All right, there you have it, Cowboys Nation. Kind of our observations of what we saw on tape from the Cowboys offense. I know we wanted to get to the defense, but stick around this week. We may have some more work for you on Thursday as we get to potentially preview this Giants matchup and some of the things we saw from Flus against Philly and how that will carry over for the Cowboys to potentially get their first dub of the season. For 2i, I am Sky. This is the Sky and 2i show. Peace.